7 p.m.
Ta-da.
So I think we should go ahead and get this party started. We have the Presidente with us. So that's always good. And we have a fairly decent turnout here this evening. Hopefully, hopefully we get you guys be cool if we do start, if we, look into maybe meeting physically next time.
Good.
Absolutely.
Have me.
Okay.
I'll have my shots by then.
All right. We'll see what we can drum up. See if we can make that happen. So, well, Jason, you want to bring up the flag and we can do the pledge, or?
All right. Let me engage. Stand by, please.
Sounds
You're muted, buddy.
You're right. Let me engage the flag. Stand by.
Looks great.
I've been messing with my audio. No time like the present.
Looks great. It's great.
All right, we're ready.
You guys ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
of the
United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under
God,
indivisible, liberty
with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. You know, I'm glad it's really the thought that counts because our
Wait. We need some better cadence.
yeah.
Well, it's hard to do on the Zoom.
We need a metrodome.
Yeah, it is. Digital latency kills us. It does.
We got a hot mic out there.
We do.
If you-
Oh, yeah. I got to turn my mic off.
Thank you.
There we go. There we go. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get this party started. Jason was kind enough to put together a nice agenda, which is good because that'll keep us on track. So we have first things first. We have welcome new members. How do we go about doing that on the Zoom?
Well, is there anyone here we don't know? Because from what I've been hearing on the net is there's a handful of people that have joined us since we've been kind of locked up. So, just wanted to open the floor to anyone we haven't said hello or met yet. New call sign. Go ahead and open your microphone up. Okay, no problem. We have 26 people participating, not all with video, which is fine.
Okay.
And you can raise your hand if you have questions, but we'll stop periodically. Talk to people.
How many people are on YouTube?
2. But it's a private link, so.
Yeah. Well, speaking of new members, I mean, we just continue to get them, which is really great. That's why it's going to be nice if we can start meeting together at the Nut Tree again and seeing everybody. I think that's going to be good.
We've been getting members joining about 1 or 2 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even through the pandemic, and it's I have been posting the link to the meeting on the website under events.
Good.
So if anyone join, they can join.
Oh, that's great.
So, or if they don't get the email or they forget what they did with the email, they can just get it there. I did want to mention or remind folks that this weekend is the Ham Radio Today virtual HamCon.
QSO today.
QSO today. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, virtual Hamfest.
Yep. So that is this weekend. They're selling tickets for $10 until at the door it's going to be $12. And it's 3 days, and you get to watch the videos if you missed anything for up to 30 days after the event.
Cool.
So I think they did a pretty good job in the fall. Actually, the keynote address is going to be given by the new CEO of ARRL. So that should be good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're one of the sponsors of the event, along with Ellicraft. Forgot who else. There's a bunch of sponsors, which is good. I mean, it's I always wanted to go to Dayton Hamvention, but it's funny. I didn't get into ham radio until I moved away from Kentucky, where I was maybe an hour away from Dayton. So the whole time I lived near there, I never went.
How many members we got?
We also have daylight savings time coming up this Sunday,
true.
so don't forget that. Spring forward.
That's right. You got to reprogram all your radios.
Yes.
No.
We'll be talking in the wrong time zone.
Yeah.
All right.
I even heard the guys in England saying they've got to move forward.
Yeah.
Oh, they do too?
Yeah, but I think it's a different time, different day. I think they.
Yeah, it's a different day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it when Europe does it.
Some of their nets are. I've been listening on and off. Sometimes their nets are pretty interesting to hear their nets. I never know when they're going to come up, but lo and behold, once in a while I hear a net pop up. Like today, one popped up, and it was pretty interesting on broadcast radio.
Anymore.
Yeah, they pop. I hear them pop up on Wednesdays, kind of around the lunchtime.
Is there a schedule somewhere out there in the world?
I think they have a website. It's like freestar.network or something like that. I could post it. I'll look it up and I'll post it in the chat.
Hey guys, I'm gonna reconnect real quick, okay?
You sound good. You're looking good. You all right?
It does. Yeah. It looks so. It's okay.
Your audio's good.
I mean,
Your video, you're moving around.
I mean, I see you. You sound fine here.
All right, I'll leave it.
Are you receiving us okay?
Yeah, everybody's audio's good. Your videos. I mean, I don't know. I think my network's a little on the.
Are you wearing?
Hmm?
Are you wearing pants?
Yeah, you're wearing
Whoa.
pants.
Yes,
I am too.
All right.
We're all,
Well, then
we're all
good.
wearing pants.
Oh,
I don't want to know.
Yeah, some of you guys are coming in perfect, and like Will came in, his audio was really delayed. I don't know who it might be. It's probably my connection.
I mean, if you feel like you got to reconnect, go ahead.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
my-
talk. We'll talk behind your back while you're gone.
Yeah, we'll have a coup behind your back.
I think you should. I'm going to try it. I'll be back. Bye.
Somebody asked, we have 85 members right now.
85.
Yeah, and 39 members that are ARRL members too.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody's an ARRL member, actually, I'm going to send an email out to everyone and have them. I'll try to do it in a survey form so I can update the database. If anybody's joined ARRL since they originally let us know, I can update the database because it kind of helps us with our being an ARRL recognized club and now an ARRL special services club. It helps us that we have,
More members.
as many ARRL members that we can get or that we have in the club. Because I report that every year, so it's good to know. Other thing I wanted to mention was I got an email. If you belong to ARRL, you can subscribe to, in addition to their weekly letters on, just general topics or contests or stuff like that. I also get a monthly note that comes out from the section manager. We're in the East Bay section within the Pacific region. So the Pacific region is broken down into Nevada, East Bay. Oh God, I can't even think of it now.
North Bay.
Yeah. Hawaii. Trying to think what else it has. Sacramento.
San Joaquin Valley.
Yeah, and Sacramento Valley, San Joaquin Valley.
Yep.
Imperial Valley, and it's broken up into these subgroups because California has the most hams of all. The section manager is Jim Simon, W6LK. And I thought what was interesting was kind of talked about how resilient the clubs have been and the fact that they are trying to find ways to stay connected by using Zoom throughout this pandemic situation. He also mentioned that there's no word yet on whether there will be a Pacific Con, which is usually October timeframe down in San Ramon. That's MDARC, which is Mount Diablo Amateur Radio Club sponsors that. So they're still trying to decide whether they're going to do that or not. He also said Field Day is coming up. There are some new modified rules. And all the new modified rules are going to be kept in place again for 2021. So what they did last year will change, will be the same. And an aggregate club score will be published. And then the work they've done with the FCC is they've gotten them to the point where they're only going to charge hams $35 fee for renewal, initial license, anything other than a, what they call just a dress change or
Is
something.
this the way yours shows up?
I'm sorry?
No. Oh.
I guess we can
Yeah,
ask
a
a
little,
question.
there's a little confusion there. Yeah.
So that's about what I had. I thought some of the notes he had in there were pretty good.
Along with that, we can roll right into where we're looking at holding this year's field day. There might be some changes. Don, do you have any information on that?
Yeah, I'm working. Herm Roland gave me the okay to use the facility, and I'm working with this fellow named Jeff Lipman, who's a manager of the facility. And we haven't finalized things yet. He's limited by the county to a maximum of 6 events a year, of which we would be partaking of one of those events. So he's trying to make sure that that will work. I will know within the next 2 weeks whether we're in or out. I'm hoping we'll be in because of Herm's recommendation.
Location was this, Don?
Pardon me?
Which location was this?
This is at the Military Museum on the Chadbourne exit there.
Valley Parkway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Great location.
And we're okay to spend the night there?
That's what I told Herm, and he said okay. And I told the guy we're going to have 10 to 12 trailers there, and over a period of the week, probably 25 to 50 people at any one time.
Okay.
Yeah, did you tell him we'll go ahead and we'll have a porta potty and
Yeah,
reach the area when we get done, so it's the way we found it.
right.
Great.
Interesting. Okay.
Awesome.
I'm hoping we'll get it.
Yeah.
Don, what's the guy's last name out at the Armory?
I'm sorry, Don, one more thing.
Yes.
Before you tell assure him that we have liability insurance that covers the club.
I told him that.
Yeah, we have $2 million policy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. and we can get him a certificate if he needs it.
It's good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any other club business or anything else we want to discuss here before we start talking about the swap meet?
Ooh, swap meet.
No? Okay. All right.
Jason, did you have
9:30.
did you have something about new members you wanted to do, or we could do that later?
We opened up with the new members, but we had no takers. Did any newer members join us since that would like to say hello and introduce themselves?
New to the club.
Yeah, I thought we had somebody who wanted to share, but maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah, I think Terry's looking for her unmute. There it is. It's unmuted.
Oh, yeah, you were right.
How's it going,
Hi,
Terry?
everybody.
Hi, Terry.
I'm Terry. I'm a new member. I got my call sign, I think, on the, I waited 11 days after it felt like 11 years because I'm really looking to talk. But I'm KN6 NRC and I live in Dixon. I actually work for Solano County Public Health. I'm in their older and disabled adult services program. I'm the director there. And so we provide services to older and disabled adults living in Solano County. I know all about the vaccines if anybody needs to know any information about that. Other than that, I have my Icon 5100 sitting here. My brother's hopefully coming this weekend to help me get that all set up. We did put up an antenna last week, and unfortunately, we're going to have to move it because my neighbor's complaining. And so we're going to move it about 15 feet into my backyard. I want to be a good neighbor, and so she was a little upset because of where I placed it. She was afraid it's gonna, when the high winds here in Dixon come up, she was afraid it was put in perfectly safe. Guy lines, all the 9 yards, big, nice rebar pounded in. We drilled into the cement, and so my brother's gonna come tomorrow and move it 15 feet towards the middle of my backyard. So the peak of my home will, hide it, but I'm not putting it all the way street side, so I didn't agree to that. But,
wait till she sees the tower you're going to put up next.
Yeah.
What my brother said? He's like, I'm gonna bring 5 feet more, and I'm gonna put it up a little higher.
Perfect.
Yeah, ask her if she has fillings, because she might be able to hear you when you talk. That'd be cool.
In her defense, I told her how much it was going to cost me to move it, and she brought the money over, and she said, "Here you go."
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Seriously. I told her I was going to need 75 feet more of coaxial cable. I showed her how much it cost, talked about how much it cost my brother to come down from Chico, and she brought the money over because she says, "Well, since you're willing to move it, I'm going to pay for it." So that's that. So
wow.
Did you tell her that you're going to be putting out so much power that she won't have to plug in her Christmas lights because the RF will just light up?
I didn't know.
And let her know she's got a free tan coming.
Wow.
No.
What kind of antenna is it? What are you putting up? What is it?
It's only a diamond, a 10-footer, but we put it on, we had 16 feet of poles, so it's about 20, but it is in the ground, so it's only 26 feet up in the air.
Sounds like an X200. Is it an X200?
I think it's a 300.
300? Yeah. Those are great antennas.
Yeah, that's what my brother said.
I'm not familiar with them. What bands do they cut? What does it cover? What is it?
2 meter, 70.
Oh, okay. So 2 meter antenna. Good.
You are in Dixon. You probably can hit the repeater with a piece of wire.
Hey, I can hit the mount vac really easily on my little bow thing that I was using. But I can also hit the Yuba Sutter repeater when I take my little mobile antenna that's magnetic and stick it on the hood of my stove in my house because the hood goes up through the ceiling. Isn't that not a great MacGyver move that I did there?
On your stove?
So,
But then your transmissions will smell like cookies.
maybe tonight, because after this I am making peanut butter cookies, but
There you go. See, Don, somehow I knew. I don't know how.
Oh, when
Anyway.
you start talking cookies, you've got Kevin's attention.
yeah, I'll be probably joining in on the NorCal swap meet a little later tonight with Armand. And I'll be making the cookies while I'm listening to that. If we're done.
Armand, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been listening to you guys since December. That's why the minute I got my call sign, I immediately filled out my app and submitted it, even though I tried to go into the ARRL database and I wasn't able to right then and there because they didn't have it recorded yet. The same thing with the other one. What is it? The QRZ. Yeah, QRZ. Yeah, that one I didn't. So I still haven't fully registered, but I am going to go there now that you reminded me earlier. I will go and do that because I checked it on my application because it was my intent. So
You're a great person. You know, you listened to us all that time and you joined anyways. Thank you.
hey, you can also thank some of the guys from the 2 Meter crew because they're on Wednesday nights and I really enjoyed listening to them. So all that time I went on their YouTube and their Zoom. So I was able to at least talk a little bit there. So
you know, they're really crazy. You know that, don't you? They're crazy.
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
that one, especially that one
out.
guy. That one guy.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
one that I saw in here earlier. I can't remember. Is it Greg? I see Bird on there too.
I'm just messing with you. Pick one.
Yeah, Bert I've seen on there. Yeah, I don't know who else. Yeah, Greg.
Yeah.
I was right. It was Greg. See?
One thing, Terry, to kind of bring up as newer people are just getting started with the QRZ. You mentioned you're going to visit back there and get it updated, but make sure you put in your email and then there's a box to show it publicly. And that can be a lot of fun for people that will reach out and contact you if you have questions or maybe equipment. And you can also sometimes come up with a different email. I know a lot of people will just go grab a Gmail account with their call sign, let's say, and then that'll just be like this over here is my ham radio email, because it's always a bummer when you hear something and you want to reach out to someone and they're not good on QRZ, as we say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed listening to you, and thanks for letting me join. And I listen to the nets. I think I checked in the other day, I think, towards the end.
Well, welcome, Terry. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome, Terry. Look forward to QSO after QSO.
All right.
I don't think I'm qualified as a new member anymore because I got my ticket back at the end of November and I joined right away. But I've not met any of you except Don and Doug face to face. So I'm new in that sense. I've talked to a lot of you on the radio and I've appreciated the good conversation and support.
What is your name, sir? It says Kathy.
It's not Kathy. It's Mike.
Kathy.
It's Mike.
Believe me, I'm not quite cross-dressing right now.
It's another Mike.
It came up with my wife's name for some reason. I don't know what I did, but I'm Mike.
Okay, Mike.
M-I-O? The other Mike. One of the other Mikes.
Nice to meet you.
That's an honorable name.
It's a great name.
So, Mike, it's Mike MIO, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What's your call
Mike
sign?
is on, yes.
So, hey, INR, funny story. I was talking to Mike. We're shooting the breeze.
Uh-huh.
And because Mike sold real estate too. And we're shooting the breeze. And then I tell him my mom, Annie Vogelpool, he goes, she sold me my house in Vacaville.
Long time ago.
It's like, oh my God, small world.
It's a small world.
Yeah. Well, good to have you on the Zoom, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I have an interesting story for those of you who are, been watching Jason and his the 2 meter what are you calling the site thing, Jason? The site 20 thing.
Oh,
what do we call?
Well, it has a couple names, but officially it's the Mount Vaca radio relay station.
Yeah. I happened to be up there at work today, graffitiing your building and everything. It was really fun. Anyways, but I turn around and I go out to get a screwdriver or something, and there's this guy, just one guy standing by himself, and I look over there. The guy pulls out a parasailing thing on his backpack. He's out there and he's just standing there. And I'm like, I just said, "Hey brother, what's going on? You getting ready to jump off the cliff?" He goes, "Yeah, man. As soon as the valley heats up a little bit, I'm going." and this guy stood there on the edge of the mountain, no kidding, just much bolder than I would ever be. And next thing we know, we walk out, and there he is soaring over the valley, over that lake that's behind there. He was kind of low. And then about an hour and a half later, we hear footsteps. The dude hiked back up to the top. And we asked him, says, "Man, where'd you go?" He goes, "Well, I was going to go to Vallejo, but didn't get enough height to get above all these antenna towers. So I just went down there and I just hiked back up, man." So that was the first time I saw anybody literally jump off of Mount Vaca.
What a trip.
Hey, people, we've seen that the doors have been open over there.
Yeah.
I've mentioned that before. I was wondering if those guys were actually jumping over there.
They should have the code, but
no, he wasn't. They weren't talking about. He wasn't about the building. He walked to the edge of the hill, behind all the fences and buildings, and he just got like a running start. And I asked him, says, "Well, what are you doing?" He goes, "The wind is blowing a little too much from the north. It's a little too cold." And he goes, the valley's going to warm up, and then the warm air is going to come up here. I'll be able to feel it, and I'll see my chute start moving the other way, and then I'm going. I'm like, dude, you are one. I can't do that. I didn't even watch him run off the edge. We waited till he was in the air, I figured get the phone out, 911. But no, he did great. And then he hiked up the mountain like 1,500 feet or something. Jeez.
God bless him.
I know. Anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Wow. That is interesting.
I know. Yeah. Jumping off Mount Vaca, not for me.
Insane.
I was worried you were going to talk about P Rock. I've seen some pictures of that.
The infamous P Rock. I haven't found it yet.
We'll have to ask Derek. Hey, so I wanted to, kind of put out some survey, if you will, about our potential swap meet coming up. It sounded like a lot of people were interested. We haven't really picked out a date. Kevin, did you give that any more thought? What dates you were thinking of? Because I believe you're going to hold it at your home.
Yeah, we're going to have it on my property, and the idea is I think we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk to the board of directors, but I think we're going to do something like maybe the club might do some kind of a real simple hot dog thing and simple drinks, and then we're considering getting our Cadillac porta potty because we had so many people interested that it's going to be pretty busy. So the thought was probably most likely the last weekend in April. Does that sound okay to everybody?
So is that the 24th?
Correct.
Yes, April 24th. Is most people going to be around for that? I mean, it is a club event. We would like to try and get it to where most of the club members and friends of the club can come.
Yeah, I'm around.
Now, do we only have to buy your junk, or can we bring our own?
Both. Bring your own stuff. I looked down there. We got 34 people on. So, all you folks listening, the swap meet is the place to be. If you're comfortable, You can come, wear your mask, wear your gloves, do what you got to do to feel comfortable, because that's where the deals are. That's where the free stuff is at. That's where the trading is at. That's where the ham radio camaraderie is at. You'll get to meet. Yes.
Is it okay though that after the event, all of our junk that didn't sell, we just leave it there?
Absolutely, absolutely not. My wife brought that up. She says, "Whatever you do, make sure all your friends take their stuff with them." I'm like, because we don't need any more stuff here at the VLF ranch. We just don't. There will be plenty of VLF stuff for people to sift through, but bring your vehicle, your table, your shade, whatever it is you need, you bring it. And another thing is, if you're bringing a 2-meter radio or something of that nature and it runs off 12 volts, bring a battery. Show people that it works. Set the thing up. Say you got this radio that you go, I really don't need it. If you went and bought a new one, it's $150, but I have one that's like 10 years old. I'm going to go for $25. This is an example. A lot of people will be interested. And if you turn it on and go, hey, look, it works too. And one other comment, don't bring stuff to the swap meet that you're in love with. Okay, don't do it. You're bringing it to swap it. You're bringing it to sell it. You're bringing it to get, and people are coming for deals. So bring the stuff that would be useful to another individual and sell it or trade it for cheap.
Or bring a box of stuff that's going to be free.
That's even better.
People
Bring a
will
stuff
look through that, and they'll pull stuff out, and
they'll absolutely.
Extension cords, power cables.
Yep. A little.
That's called chumming the fleet.
Yep. And another thing too is, let's try to keep it ham radio related, but that includes, tools you could use for ham radio, wire you could use for ham radio, a little speaker that somebody, you've probably heard us talking about. Hey, go get that. Minimus 7 or the KLH or the JBL or Sony, whatever. Those things work great. I hook them to my HF and I get a pair of them, and I hook one to my HF and one to my 2-meter 440. And man, it sounds so good. Bring those, and sell a pair of those for $5 or $10 if you got, because that kind of stuff is cool. So ham radio related. And if you show up with a pickup truck load of 8088 computers, we're probably going to light your pickup truck bed on fire and send you away. Okay.
And we know where to take burnt trucks.
But if you have a spare Raspberry Pi board you're looking to get rid of, something like that, people will.
Yeah, Raspberry Pi. Now for you people that Brian, that's a very good comment. It doesn't mean you can't bring a computer related item. It's just it needs to be related to ham radio. I'll use All-Star as an example. So if you have that Pi that you bought Pi 4s or Pi whatever, just bring it, and somebody will probably be interested.
Yeah.
Not to mention the knowledge. Some of you folks that are new, you come out here and you just talk to people, and you gain some knowledge. Maybe make a new friend.
Well, good deal. Yeah, some more to come on the date, but it sounds like we got a place, and we'll see how many people will sign up so we can figure out some hamburgers, hot dogs, and a toilet.
Well, we're pretty. I mean, we're saying the date's the 24th for now, unless that changes, or
unless something blows up on us. Yeah.
Okay.
Why do we need a porta potty? Kevin has a pool.
Yeah, you can just pee in the pool. Yeah.
There's a big field.
The porta potty thing for the last two events worked so good. We'll put that out there, and we'll stick the hand washing sink with the sanitizer. But as far as the food, we can, Jason and Frank and myself and a few other guys, we'll chat it. We're not doing the full blown kitchen thing. It's going to be more like a barbecue and
Yeah.
some hot dogs, something
Burgers
simple.
and dogs. Yeah, easy stuff.
Easy stuff, easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
But
normally swap meets start pretty early. Is that what we're thinking about for this too? As far as
yeah,
the time?
yeah. The average swap meet, the way it works is sellers, vendors can come in at 6, and it opens at 7.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that.
No.
We can do sellers and vendors at 7, and it opens at 8. And we truly, except for the sellers and vendors, we just ask people, hey, be polite. Let's try not to be an early bird or too much of it. Be on time, but don't come at 7 o'clock and start trying to go through the guy's stuff as he's setting it up. Which happens. So
the other vendors will.
Oh yeah, other vendors will. Oh yeah, yeah, that happens. But
there's gonna be a lot of vendors.
That's why they call it a swap meet.
That's right. You guys can do that.
Now we're not charging any kind of a fee to be a vendor.
No,
right?
no. I hadn't given that much thought. I didn't think we were.
No,
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean,
we're just going to do it because we want to, right?
Yeah, but are we going to get? Is the word going to get out though? Like other clubs, that kind of a thing.
We can to a point. Let the Benicia Club know, and let our friends around. Just kind of talk it up on the repeater, and we'll do it. We'll start out small. That's how Larry Swap started years ago. And then Larry Swap turned into like one of the best ones. There was no fee. You just showed up and you just did it. It was like really cool.
Yeah. We can put it out on Wednesday, the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, we could know, and then we just come over here and just let everybody know it'll probably be over by, over by 1, over probably by 2, typically.
Now, would anyone like to help coordinate this?
Yeah, I'm just be straight up honest with you guys. I'm like stupid busy lately.
Yeah, Kevin, Jason, are you coordinating?
No, I'm asking the question. The only reason I would say we might need some coordination, I mean, the toilet and all that's pretty easy to handle. But let's say the word really starts getting out there. The coordinator's purpose would be an email to be given over the air. And if you would like to set up a table and sell stuff, a vendor, please contact this call sign. So you hit the call sign, hit QRZ, you email that person. That way we understand how many people and how many tables we're dealing with. That's the only piece that I see could get out of hand. What's that?
I can do that.
Okay.
I can set up a new email, W6VVR swap.
Great.
W6VVR.net, and this way it'll keep it separate from everything else.
And the idea is as we talk to our friends and get the word out, we give them that email address and say, hey, if you're interested in selling, contact this person, so at least the list can be developed.
Yeah, we could limit. We may want to decide that, we start getting too many people, we may have to limit it.
Well, there hasn't been a swap meet in over a year, so that's my only caution.
Yeah, the word starts to get out. So we probably want to kind of have a number of, like, hey, we can only take this many vendors. And, Kevin, maybe you can help us understand.
Yeah, we'll go out. Maybe Jason and I could look at his maps that he already has. We could chat about, because that brings up another thought on my part is, typically I'm busy helping people do whatever it is we need to do on the events. So it would be nice if a couple folks would volunteer to be on the we pick a simplex frequency that we're all on, we stay on it, we actually listen to it, and then a couple of people could be there, because as people come in, we may wind up showing people where to park. I mean, literally come in, start at the end of the property and nose in, right here, and we can do that on both sides of the gravel road. And then when people start leaving, then those folks, the parking people, can maybe somebody's going to walk up, stand behind them, make sure they don't accidentally crash into, their friend's car or something. Because, it is a country property and can be a little bit crowded, but we had about 40 to 60 people here at one time on the field day, so it wasn't bad. But if we get 80 people, that's, we have like maybe 15, 20 vendors, and then 60 people show up. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So we might want to have a little bit of order to it.
Yeah, I can be, food coordinator.
And I think we need, at the day of the event, I think we need someone on our repeater for talking, because there may be people who get lost.
Yeah. So our talk-in repeater, and then we can have a simplex channel just to chat amongst ourselves here.
Yep.
Actually, we should put up a booth, our VVR booth, and the VVR booth, that's the people that do the talking in, and that's where you can, when people come in and check in and ask questions about the club, that's where you go.
I got it.
I'll be happy to help with that kind of stuff too.
Tables for club members, so they have to join to get a table.
There you go.
Boy, at this rate, we're going to need to charge admission and give some raffle tickets away.
Well, I think it's a good point that you need to be a club member to have a table. Is that a reasonable thing?
Oh.
No.
No?
I don't know. It depends what kind of...
we need to know how many tables we can have first.
You know what? Let's figure out how many tables we can have. Yeah. And I guess let's just, this first one, just do it. First come, first serve. When it's full, it's full.
Considering how long it's been since there's been any kind of swap meet or hamfest around, I think when people hear about it, we're going to be swamped.
If it's anything like it was when we were out at Quartzsite, everybody came in and just opened up the back ends of their truck. And I mean, you just had them lined one right next to the other for, good, maybe 50 feet, 75 feet, and both sides of the road.
I mean, we could do it out in the field. The field can easily handle at least 3 rows of cars, with probably 10 to 15 cars per row, and that's going to be it. That'll be it, and we can work that out, Jason, here over the weekend.
Yeah,
I'll get out. We tape measure it, and what do you figure? You give like 10 feet, right, per car.
We'll get those details later, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Maybe you guys can talk it over and get a feel for how many would be involved from the club before we put it out, like on the 2-meter crew and stuff, and see if it's going to go crazy, before you spread it too wide.
Yeah, that's true. Because guys like PMR might show up. You never know.
With a U-Haul truck.
You have everybody from Sacramento on down, and from the Bay Area on over on their.
Wouldn't that be something?
We do have to do caution. This was mainly for our club and friends of the club that aren't members, which is not a problem. So we had 100, 150 people come through here throughout the day, or even 200. That's fine. But if we had 200 people show up at once and stay all day, yikes!
A lot of burgers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get all those details out later. There's a lot of variables right now.
Okay.
So, does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns? I'd like to just bring up a little bit of an open forum right here.
Just one more thing on the swap is maybe on our next club meeting, we will need some volunteers just to help administrate, like you're saying, help with parking, help with the food, help with the VVR booth, that kind of thing. So maybe, next club meeting, we can kind of really hone in on it and get some volunteers and make sure who we got. And that way we're really prepared for it. So, but it sounds really exciting. That'll be really fun.
Well, I'm happy to be a floater and go wherever I'm needed.
If I can get somebody to sell my stuff for me, I'll help out any way you need it. I mean, I have no problem with that, because I don't have a ton of stuff, but if somebody can share a table, and then I'll just put it there with a price and let it go at that.
All right. You can share the table with me. I plan on coming up with my pickup truck, some tables. You can share with me, Art, if you want to.
Bruce, you're going to be selling that nice oscilloscope behind you?
My oscilloscope. I got a HF rig, 100 watt, 857D. Probably a whole bunch of wire and stuff. Sure.
Yeah, I got radios.
That's a good idea for people to collaborate and share a space. That way, instead of having 10 spaces with a little bit of stuff, you got 5 spaces with twice as much at each space. You know, looks like
just mark the price on each thing with a little piece of tape, so I know how much it is.
I have a bunch of club stuff that we need to put out that's been donated to the club.
I've got mugs.
If you leave your stuff at my table, everything's $1. Everything.
I've got Christmas mugs from 2 years ago underneath my feet right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
actually, I'd love to see like a shirt if there's anything like that available. I'd totally
a shirt
into that. Yeah, just a shirt, or I like the hats. You know, just some gear.
You know,
Look, man,
that's
I'm wearing pants. What more do you want?
Greg, thank you.
Oh, silly! I don't wear pants, man. Come on.
Just don't stand up.
With all the
See what I've got?
Yeah. So with all the people,
TMI.
with all the people that we've been adding to the club, I probably should just take a moment real quick. If you're interested in a hat like this, and if you want to go get it right away, you can go over to Add Specialties in Vacaville. It's over by Dairy Queen. Just let them know you're with the Vaca Valley Radio Club and you'd like to get this embroidered. And it doesn't have to be on this color. It can be on any color, and you can get fancy and put your call sign on the side. Don't mind my tape. I need a new hat too. And I'm also working on some shirts through another avenue, and that could possibly expand out to all sorts of things that I want to make available soon. So,
if we get the shirts, Jason, you got to have the tagline. You know, you have to wear pants. It has to make it into the shirt somehow.
Yeah,
I was just gonna put people's call sign on their chest. You know.
Oh,
yeah.
And then VVRC
on the back.
pants
VVRC.
mandatory.
Yeah.
Pants mandatory.
Yeah, so I have a shirt right now for the VVRC, but I haven't seen it yet, and I don't like to say where it is, so you can go get it until I see it. It's on order, coming to my house. It's like a T-shirt. VVRC's on the back. You put in your custom call here on the front. Should be pretty cool. I'm just concerned sometimes when you upscale images, they fall apart on shirts. You know, they're just not good quality. So more to come about that stuff soon for different swag. But if you're wanting a hat or an embroidered on anything, Add Specialties in Vacaville has our logo to embroider.
Well, they put it in my kilt.
Anything, just not while you're wearing it.
Kilts are not pants.
Well,
especially if you had a bad case of measles.
Let's not insult the Irish. All righty.
That's the Scottish.
The Irish didn't wear kilts. That's the Scottish.
Hootman.
I was somewhat close, content-wise.
Loch Ness Monster.
All right. So I think Kevin prepared a little something for us. You know, recently we've been kind of critiquing our repeater. It's had a few different hiccups here and there and some repairs. And I thought, who else better to talk about it would be Kevin, to kind of give us some information on what's going on with the repeater, and then a little bit of an overview as well, just as a refresher to what is actually going on top of the hill. Kevin.
Okay. First of all, is my audio okay?
Yes.
I'm having trouble with my bandwidth on the receiving side tonight, but that's beside. We'll deal with that. Anyways, so the repeater itself, you guys and gals have probably noticed we've had a little bit of noise on it, and that little bit of noise is most likely an antenna problem. We've got that problem on a couple different sites, and I think we fixed it on one site on one of our sister clubs or repeaters, I guess. I don't know, but they're good friends of ours. The K6SOL repeater had a similar problem, and they got a new repeater, and we put it to a different antenna, and whiz bang boom, the noise problem went away. So on that situation, we did an experiment, and it's so far so good. And on the W6VVR repeater, we've done a couple of things to that, trying to alleviate the problem, and it's pointing more and more at the antenna that's way up top on the tower. So something along that is what's going to have to be fixed. So until we can get the proper people with the proper stuff to go up and take a look at that on the tower and work on it, I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know. So that's the best answer I can give you on that. We're aware of it. The people that are in charge of the tower are aware of it. And as soon as they can get time, they're going to put us on a different antenna to do a test, I think, or they might just replace it. They might just go up there and replace it. I don't know which. So, but they are aware of the problem. So we're going to work on that. Another thing is we had several new members, and I think one of them was I want to say it was Servando, and I don't know. Maybe it was or wasn't Greg. I don't want to call any more names out because I'll probably get them all wrong. But since we've had so many new members and join the club and get involved in amateur radio, we've had a lot of questions about, gee, where's the repeater? What is the repeater? What is it? What are you guys talking about? What's a controller? What do you mean we only use one antenna for transmit and receive? I mean, the list of questions just has gone on and on. So last month, I think it was, we talked about it real briefly and then said something, and then said, well, maybe next time we'll just show a picture, or I'm not going to go into the gory detail of anything, but I'm going to show you real equipment that was in use either recently or will be put back into service, what our repeater looks like, the actual W6 VVR repeater looks like. I'm going to show you what a controller looks like, and then I'm going to show you two different repeaters just to, see what they look like. And then I'm going to show you a couple of the different duplexers, which is how we transmit and receive on the same antenna at the same time. So right off the bat, this is the repeater. Let me lift it up. Can we see that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Or okay. Does it help if I do this? Does that help? Okay.
Can we zoom in?
I can't really zoom this camera in because it's way above my head. But this is just a simple repeater. It's a Kenwood repeater. Now on this side right here is the actual repeater with the electronics in it. Let me switch over to this view. And the repeater is right here, okay? And this side right here is completely empty, okay? You see that? So that's the repeater. And on the back side of the repeater, it's just the basic connections, just like your radio at home, okay? So let's take a look so you can see. So right here, this larger connector, it happens to be an N connector. This is the RF output. This is the transmitter output. This connector is a BNC, and this is the receiver input, okay? So basically, this unit is a one transmitter and one receiver built into one box, and it does have a very simple built-in controller, okay? So that's what a reasonably modest repeater. They built these up to a couple years ago, and they stopped making that version of it. And this one here, you hook your laptop up to it, and you can talk to it, change the frequency, change the PL, you can change the CWID, you can do all that kind of stuff on it. And also, I think I forgot to point out to you, which is going to be important here in a minute, is this connector right here. Might be kind of hard to see, but it's a 25-pin DIN plug. And what's on there is all of the inputs and outputs to the repeater, all the audio in and out, all the control in and out, all the stuff that this thing will do, and whatever the laptop will allow you to control on these pins. And that we won't go into detail on that, but there's a lot of stuff it can do. So our system, this is an SCOM 5K right here. And let me flip this. Let me stick it up here. Yeah, there we go. How's that? Can you see that better? See the lights on the front of that? So the lights on the front of that are indicators of what's going on inside of this box it's just a box with another 25 pin. I think it's a 25 pin. Yeah, another 25 pin connector on it. So what this will do is you can break this out. This guy not only will do the CWID, you can get the clock function for it. You can get the remote base function for it. You can have another receiver on there, and you can have your secret squirrel receiver frequency to come in and do things. So on our repeater up there, we have one of these, and the controller, an external controller, gives you much more options than the typical onboard controller. For example, we just put a new Bridgecom repeater up there for K6SOL, which works beautiful. And we're going to put a remote base on it, and we're going to link it to over to Benicia, so Benicia can be linked into us. And then if we want to, through RF, we can link into them, so we'll be able to cover Solano County. Well, these repeaters, from the factory, the one I'm here in front of me, and some of the newer ones like our Bridgecom, they don't offer DTMF remote control. So we can't tell the thing to turn the PL off and on. In the old days, you'd hear them start off the net, and you hear somebody say, we're going to turn our PL off and go to open squelch and welcome all visitors. That way you didn't need a PL to bring the repeater up. It's just an example. Another example is the controller allows you through your DTMF or a remote line in to turn the remote radio on and off or steer it to a different channel if you want. That stuff doesn't happen typically with the built-in repeater controller functions. So I'm going to reach down here, and I'm going to grab another thing out of the pile of radios. This is an oldie but a goodie. Pick these up for, reasonable amount of money. $100, $150, but half the time they're broken. I'll show you that one. That's a Kenwood repeater. This is an older one. It's a TK820, TKR 820. It's a little bit older, but this is a standalone thing. You don't need 12 volts to run it, although it will run off 12 volts. This one has to have a battery. What's really cool about this old one I like is if you could see it on the back, you see, as a power cord, it has a built-in power supply that works quite well. It's a little older unit. It's got the standard UHF connectors on the back, and it has a very, very simple connector to get to the outside world. You may not know it, but we use one of these every single time you push the button on the W6 VVR. You're talking through a TKR 820 as well as a TKR 750, because we're VHF. So 7 is VHF and 8 is UHF in the Kenwood world at the moment. So we're using a remote repeater here in Fairfield, which is just exactly like that one, that is remoted through another radio that's connected to VVR. So when you key VVR, instantly the 440 and Fairfield keys, and we're using Kenwood repeaters at both ends. This VHF up on the hill and the UHF here in Fairfield. So a couple other little things I want to show you. I've been asked this question several times. Says, how do we transmit and receive on one antenna? And there's a thing you probably heard a phrase thrown around pretty loosely, a duplexer or cans or filters. Well, here is a version of a flat pack, and notice it's flat. That's kind of where it gets its name. It's not very thick. Okay. And right here, the antenna connects to the center one. And then one side gets a transmitter and one side gets the receiver. And if you can see this, see all these these are all the tuning stubs to tune it to the different frequency. And at the moment, this one is tuned. The transmit side is tuned for 441.650. I wonder why. And the receive is tuned at 446.650. So this could be used on the W6 VVR UHF, which it was for a while. This particular, just so some of you guys were doing some GMRS stuff, and some of you guys were doing portable repeaters for ham radio, and you get a flat pack. So this is a flat pack. A flat pack like this is a notch filter only. It doesn't have a band pass, and we won't go into gory detail about that. But what it really means is it's doing is it's allowing you to use the single antenna so that the transmit frequency is notched out of the receiver, and the receiver frequency is notched out of the transmitter side, and they get coupled to the antenna, and they typically don't bother each other. What it doesn't have is the band pass filter, which on the transmit side, if you drew it out, it'd be tuned, like a bell-shaped curve, tuned just for the pass transmit, and the other side would be tuned just to pass the receiver. So these typically you can get them like this Kenwood, the first one I showed you. You can buy a flat pack. It'll slide into the back of this repeater, so it's all self-contained. It's all one thing. That's kind of where they came from, because you can make small. You can make them much smaller. Here's what you typically would get off eBay or Amazon. This is one of the little Chinese or from China flat packs. Okay. This one happens to be VHF, and it's got the connectors on the back. And notice how thin it is. It's very, very thin. It's about 1.25 inches thick, if that. These are the ones that cost typically under $100. These are also just notch filters. So if you're using them at your home or in an environment that's not RF heavy, there's not destructive things going on around you that you got to filter out. These flat packs work pretty good. Use them all the time. And just be, if you're going to do an experiment and you're just having fun, just remember your antenna is super important, and your filters between your antenna and your radio are very important. And if you go too cheap on your filters, you'll find it's a little more difficult to get the thing to behave. So with that said, what do we use on the W6 VVR machine? Well, up on the hill, we use much larger 2 meter cavities. They're big, just like on the Fusion machine over the ASUS system that Brian is working on with us. The filters on that, they're just too big to bring in here. They're physically almost a foot in diameter, by about 10 inches in diameter, and they're probably 30 inches tall because they're a VHF. And the ones that are on that are very, very good filters. On the UHF side, to give you an idea of what's going on, that's it. Thank you, Brian. Notice how large those are. Look at the repeater to the right. Those two stacked right there. One of those.
What's inside of the canisters?
Yeah, pardon me?
What's inside of those canisters?
Air. They're tuned cavities. What's going in? There's a plunger. There's a pickup loop where the coax goes in. It's built to a certain specification, and then there's a plunger that goes up and down the middle, and it adjusts the amount of coupling, and it adjusts the amount of what that cavity's tuned for. We could do that sometime. We can set it up. Anybody who's interested, we could do it at the house, do it on Zoom, do whatever we want. You can see, in fact, that's a really important thing. I mean, today at work, I literally tested some bandpass filters to make sure we were doing some stuff up around 900 megahertz. So when I tested the antenna without the filter, I was getting all kind of stuff. I put the filter in, and boom, it narrowed the bandwidth down to what we wanted. So all the junk on the outside, either the left or the right of the center frequency, was greatly attenuated, which is exactly what the customer wanted. So this guy here, I'm going to show you the back of it. See how much bigger it is? This is a 19-inch rack mount. This is a 6 cavity UHF duplexer. And you can see in the middle, I'll try to get it to where you can see it. This is where the antenna hooks to. And these are all, cables are all cut to a certain length to be used at this frequency range. These here adjust what's called your band pass. So if we were using 441.650, we wanted that to go through the cavity, we would peak these to where each one of them was tuned to that frequency. And down here where you can't really see it, I'll try to get this here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but right here, there's little screws. There's little screws right where my finger's at. Okay. Those are the other adjustment that adjusts the notch. So, and there's three cavities on each side, and you just hook it to your test equipment and you just jockey back and forth. It takes, if you sit around and tune this thing, take your time and do it well. You could spend an hour on this pretty easily. Depends on how finicky you are and how proficient you are at it. But this is a much better filter.
Why do you need more than one or two cavities?
Because there's two reasons. On the band pass, you want it to be you want the Q of your circuit higher. In other words, you want the band pass to be sharper, and you want it to reject the stuff on each side. So the first one does a little bit, the first one does more, and the third one does even more. And when you look at it on the picture on your scope, you see that bell curve getting higher, and you see the junk you don't want getting lower. And then on that, so let's just make it easy. Let's say you wanted to use 450 megahertz. You wanted it to go through. So you tune these at 450 megahertz. And then 455 megahertz, 5 up. You want that to be rejected. So you go to the other screw, and now you tune these to the notch 5 megahertz away, and you make that notch go as deep as you can. So this filter here, we can easily notch out the frequency we don't want 5 megahertz away, at least 80 to 85 dB. I've had these up, some of these go up to, I've had them up to 100, and to the point where my test gear was in so far in the noise, it was pretty deep. So 80 to 90 is really pretty dang good. And then these filters here, you tune these to where they pass what you want with the least amount of insertion loss. So one is passing the signal you want and rejecting the stuff on either side of it. The other screw is a notch filter that notches out this side. So if I'm over here and if I'm receiving at 450 megahertz and my band pass is letting that through and my notch over here is notching out 455, it's the reverse over here. This is at 455 and I'm notching out 450. You follow me? That way, one side, it lets it go through and it notches the other side. Then you reverse it, lets the other side go through and notches the other. We'll draw a picture of it later. But like I said, this one is way more complicated than these flat packs. But that's what you got to have when you're up on a mountaintop, because you're up on a mountaintop and the likelihood is somebody else is up there with you and they may not be on your frequency, but they might be on an adjacent frequency, and they may have enough energy on their system that if you didn't have the proper filtering, it would bother you. So
even with the band pass and the notch filters, do you still need the cavity canisters also? The cavity filters?
I didn't say that question again, Carlos.
Sorry. So even with that notch filter and band pass, you still, in addition to that, need the cavity.
Not necessarily.
Also.
There's times where you'll put this whole thing in, and you'll go on a lot of times on your receive side, you might say, I want to put another filter. I want to put another band pass filter. And maybe I do want to put another notch filter. It depends on your circumstance. Like I have one of our ham radio repeaters, I was experimenting. I put a actually right here at the house. I have a little baby three cavity filter for 440 to 450, and I added it only in the receive because there was something around my neighborhood that was every once in a while I just hear this. It was just I saw on the scope. It's just a bunch of I don't know what it was. There was energy that was getting into the receiver, so I put that in there and I narrowed my band pass as best I could. And then after all my filters, right before it goes on the radio, I put a little preamp and I added back a little bit of the loss. And that's how I got the receive so a HT can get into it across town. But to answer your question, it depends on the circumstance. A lot of times, that last one I showed you, a lot of times that's all you need. There's other stuff you do up on top of a mountain, and we won't talk about too much tonight, but there's another part called an IM panel, and that's what it is. It's got a circulator and a dummy load on it. And the reason it's there is your transmitter energy goes out into the world and it goes to your antennas and it mixes with other garbage out there and causes problems. Well, if something came back down your transmitter line and came in through that line backwards, it could cause problems to your final output, and then it could also cause some intermod. So you put those things in there. Those are called IM panels, and it helps protect your radio. It helps cut down on the IM, but that's in congested areas. At your house, like I don't have one here, up on Cement Hill. We don't have one up there, but yeah, depends on your circumstance. The more congestion you got RF wise, the more effort it might take to clean it up.
Hey, I got a question for you, Kevin.
Yeah.
So, does the repeater there you have on the desk, the big black Kenwood? Yeah.
Yep.
Is that's just like the one we have up on the hill? You were saying
it looks exactly like it.
As far as the power output of the repeater, how much power is coming out of that, or are we going through an amplifier as well?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
A lot of guys, if you got like low level repeaters like the ones here at the house, we're using the output amplifier in the repeater. Some of these repeaters can generate up to 35, 40 watts. Well, we get a little long-winded sometimes on the repeater. So oftentimes what you'll do is you'll turn the power down to a level that would be considered 100% duty cycle. You could just turn it on for like an hour and it'd be okay, or longer. And then you go into a PA amplifier. And remember when our repeater, like out of the blue, you could only hear it like a block away from Mount Vaca.
Yeah.
The PA amplifier stopped working. The amplifier.
How many watts is the PA amplifier?
Somewhere between 0 and 1,000.
Wow. Okay.
Somewhere it's like 40 watts or 50 watts or something. It's not huge. Gotcha. You don't need a ton of power up there. The reason it's there is for duty cycle. So when we get long-winded and we hold the button down, the big old giant amp that's about this wide, about this tall, and about that deep, it just sits there and goes, "Yeah, I don't care," and you keep talking.
Yeah,
I don't even know what our timeout timer is, to be honest with you. I've never heard the thing time off. Even when the power went out, it kept going because we had batteries and backup and stuff. So
hey,
anyway,
Kevin, do you have time for one more question from Bruce?
Yeah, you guys, whatever you want to do. Go ahead.
At the last club we had when I moved into Vacaville, I was in the Bay Area, and we had a high level machine there, and I was on part of the maintenance crew. Anyhow, the club voted on making a talking S meter and beam alignment setup, and we put that in our repeater into the controller. And I was wondering, let me describe that first to people who don't know what that is. A talking S meter and beam alignment is you could be at your house on an HT, and then talk on the repeater on antenna number 1 on the HT, and you key in a key code, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it turns on the talking S meter. So you key up your radio after you've keyed that code in. You key up the radio, and the repeater measures your signal, and it's going to do a comparison of antenna 1 to antenna 2 at your house. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you go, this is Bruce N6THN on antenna number 1, and the repeater will reply with a synthesized voice. That was 47 microvolts, for instance. And then you change antennas on your HT, and you key the code in again for the talking S meter. So this is going to be testing antenna 2. So you key the code in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that was masked, so nobody could hear the code. It was muted, so people wouldn't be able to decode it. Anyhow, and this is antenna 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'd unkey, and the first reading was, say, was 55 microvolts, and you put on a super duper antenna, and now you went up to 75 microvolts. Or you were pointing a beam, you would point your beam and test it each 5 degrees. And then if you were far away, you'd peak it for maybe 100 microvolts you'd get at the repeater. And it was a pretty simple mod. I was in on the crew with the speech synthesizer. We just put a detector diode in the IF section and measured the voltage with a to D, analog to digital. And that number became the microvolts that we spit out over the repeater. So anyhow, it was a technical addition that was pretty easily done to the repeater on the receiver. And it gave the club members a whole bunch of utility, because we were able to test this J-pole compared to a diamond, or your car radio compared to your HT. People went nuts using the talking S meter when they needed to, and then we were able to shut it off, with touch tones. So if you were a member of the club, you got the touch tones. If you weren't a member of the club, they were inaccessible to you. So it was also like a carrot to get people to join, so they can test the relative gain of their antennas. So anyhow, I wonder if there's any mods where if your controller has that built into it. That was my question. Back to you.
I honestly don't know if that controller has that function built into it. Although years ago, the K6SOL repeater was originally the KA6CHJ repeater. And about 1989, 1990, I don't know, I lost track. We built that board, the buffer board, and tapped into the IF on the repeater that was up there. And the controller had the voice already in it. And what you did is it was set in 6 dB voltage, 6 dB increments. So what we did is we hooked it up, and then we put 5 microvolts into it, and that was S9. And then after that, the controller knew that 6 dB lower was S8, and then so on and so forth. So we would you key the radio, and you'd touch 159, and the repeater would come back and go S8. And then if you choose your antenna that was stronger, you key it, it'd come back and it'd say S9 plus 10. And it went from S1. I don't know what it said when it couldn't, maybe it was, I think it had an S0, which was noise. And then it had S1 through S9 plus 60. So absolutely. It could be done, but we better fix the static in the repeater, get that first, and see if the actual people that own the repeater. You know what, Bruce? I'll give you. We can check out the pinout on this thing. I think it has that output on this plug. And then
okay. Because there was just a little circuit board that we bought. I think it had a 6502 chip and this other chip called a Digitalker chip. And then we just made interfaces and scaled the voltage, just like you're saying with your S1, S2, S9, 10 over S9.
Yep.
We just scaled it like that. And we totally just made it out of breadboard and vector board and put it up on the repeater ourselves.
That's cool. Some of these controllers have it in it. I don't, that one up there, I don't know if it does, but yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Very, very good idea.
Okay. That was a very good talk about the repeaters. I enjoyed it. Is there more you're coming up with? I'm sorry.
No, man, that was it. I just said I was just going to show you guys the boxes and do a quick explanation of what they are and do my best to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Hey, Kevin, I got a question. It's Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, so it's been my experience in the past working with, sorry about that, some communications equipment where you'll have a bandpass filter in line or in conjunction with a band reject filter. So is that more when you're operating next to a similar band high power transmitter that you're really trying to isolate the signal, or is that more of a common practice?
On repeaters, it's a super common practice because you want your band pass for the frequency you want. And in this case, it'd be your transmit frequency that passes. So it's tuned for that. And everything out of that band pass is rejected to some degree. And then you want a notch filter you want a notch filter on the receive frequency on that same line, so that if there's any harmonics or anything on that frequency, it takes it down to the dirt. And then on the opposite, your receive frequency has band pass, and then your notch filter is on the transmit side, because you don't want that transmit getting in there and desensing your receiver. So it's super common practice on two-way radio sites. They'll have a band pass and a notch filter on often on each of them. Yep. And if you're having a problem, you can put another band pass in there to try to clean it up. You know, it depends on your situation.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, but super common. I wish I had a picture. I forgot to do it. I had a picture of just an anonymous site that just had like an insane amount of cans just on the wall. It was kind of cool looking, but I'll do it next time. I'll get it up next time.
Are you making the cavity filters, or are you buying those big cavity filters?
You buy them. You go to, like, when you go to bigger swap meets and all the radio guys that do it for a living or have been doing it for many, many years, you find cavities that will suit your needs, and you buy them. Yeah. You can make your own. There's guys on YouTube show you how to make a cavity, but man, I'm not doing it. I mean, I want a nice cavity that's built right and has all the cool connectors on it and so on and so forth. Cause you can get them cheap. I mean, all this stuff like the cavity, this one here, I think I bought this off eBay for $40 or $50. So, and this is a Motorola. This came out of that's another thing too. Commercial equipment that gets pulled out of service and gets surplused and winds up at the ham radio swap meets. That's where you want to look. Like right this second, I have in my son's house in Texas, we have a full Motorola UHF repeater we're going to set up on his property and hook to All-Star. And we got it for virtually nothing because they were tearing down a commercial site and they got to the point where they were throwing it in the trash can. So we went up and said, could we have that? And they said, get out of here in the next hour and it's yours, because they didn't want it. They were throwing it away. Does that happen every day? No. But then on the other hand, I don't know where it's at. Some of these little ones, I mean, you could buy these small flat packs for under $100. And then if you go on eBay and Craigslist, QRZ, QTH, all those different online swaps and look around. There's people selling that kind of stuff all the time. Some people are married. Some people are in love with it, and they think it's coated with gold. And other people are selling it at a very, very fair price. Just got to look, guys. I've been looking for 40 years, so that's how come I got stuff. I'm kind of sick.
Keep the water off of it, and it doesn't wear out.
That's right, man. That's right. I have some cans out there. I got for free, and there's dents in them. There's dents, and a couple of the tuning threaded rods are a little bit bent. So anybody in a commercial application, they're not going to want them. They're going to throw them away. So when they were throwing them away, I had a friend of mine said, "Hey, you want a couple of them?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take them." And I tested a couple of them, and they still work. You know, you got to. The dent didn't really matter that much, but the threaded rod needed to be fixed. So, you know, I probably got 2 cans that I have to repair. I'll probably never use, but you know, I couldn't let him throw a filter away. Isn't that illegal, Ed, to throw a filter away?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, even if it's dented and the threaded rod's bent, just take it. Hey, it's ham radio, guys. We fix it.
You'd be amazed. Sometimes it works.
Yeah, sometimes it works. I've thrown away a few things. I'm like, I can't make that work. So you give it to the scrap metal guy if it's messed up. Anyways, anybody else got any comments? It's almost 8:30, man. I'm approaching talked out.
I got a little comment.
Question. I got one question.
Sure.
Is the repeater in a building or is it like in an ice chest?
Oh, the repeaters up on top of the mountaintops. They're in buildings. All of them. Everybody. Some kind of a building. Some are cinder blocks. Some are Conex buildings. Some are, let's see. A lot of them are cinder block buildings with roofs on them. A lot of them are some kind of a Conex that has maybe a beefed up roof, beefed up doors. I mean, they're all in buildings, all of them. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, especially the commercial sites. They have these super buildings they bring up, and they put them on a concrete slab, and yeah, they're all everything up there. I mean, if you go up, all you guys, everybody's been up to Mount Vaca or driven. Or we're driving up to Mount Diablo. I don't know. There's like 3 or 4 radio sites you could see right from the road, and they're all in like secure buildings. All of them.
Most of them are alarmed.
All of them are, as far as I know, of them are alarmed. So if you're up there hiking and you know walking around, there's a really, really, really high. If they're looking at the screen, they're watching you.
You know, I think just for clarity, my own info. So most of the repeater sites are us borrowing like a commercial tower, or something similar, letting you put your antenna up on it.
On a lot of the ham stuff, we are guest on somebody else's site. Yes, there are a ham.
Not just our antenna up one tower. We've just got an antenna burst that's on a giant communication tower.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it. We are on somebody's site, commercial or otherwise, and as ham radio, if we're lucky, the guy that runs the site is a ham operator, and he's willing to let us put it in there. And there are some sites up on the different hills in Northern California that are owned by an individual who happens to be a ham radio. There happens to be ham radio and commercial stuff in there, but you would have to talk to the owner to find out what those accommodations would cost you, because repeaters that sit up there and run 24/7, man, I mean, some of those power bills those guys get are insane because that stuff's running all the time. So you gotta pay a little bit.
I've got an input on a little different subject.
Sure.
The other day I was trying to measure the DC power that I was drawing on my power supply, and to put a meter on it. And I was going to use a remote sensing resistor in the line. When I put it in the AC line and then put it in the DC line, there was about a 20% difference in the readings. And what I came to the conclusion was, in the North America, the DC side, on the DC power, the negative side is always grounded. So what ends up happening is that our station ground ends up carrying a portion of the DC load, the DC return to the power supply. And every piece of equipment that I own that has DC power going into it or through it, the negative side is tied to the case. So yeah, when you tie it to your station ground is also your DC return. And I check that by removing the fuse on my HF on the negative side, and the radio worked absolutely perfect without the fuse. Just something to keep in mind.
Did you check the positive lead on your power supply? Did you get more of an accurate DC reading?
Oh yeah, the positive side was fine. It was on the negative side. I've been trained that when you put an external shunt in, you always put it on the negative side because there's less chance of arcing it to or shorting it to places you don't want.
Yep.
I just dropped a link in the chat here for Zoom. It's a must read about grounding. Exactly what Ed is alluding to is true. All of our DC power supplies, our DC voltage, our 12 volts is case grounded, which is going to be your AC house ground as well. So it gets very sticky.
And it gets complicated.
Yes, it does. And so the article is a little long. It's actually written by an individual that wrote portions of the National Electric Code, and I'm currently lining him up for a future interview. So it should be really exciting.
Fantastic. The power supply, the radios, the antenna coupler that has a light bulb in it. I have a Epic power bridge that everything that carries DC has got the negative side tied to the case. Everything.
Just like an automobile, everything on the automobile is on the ground is negative.
Yeah.
You only turn off the positive and then you ground it to the frame.
In the rest of the world, other than the Americas, that is not the case. Both positive and negative are floating. And I've worked on both systems extensively, and the argument that, well, the grounded negative is safer, I don't buy it.
It can create a lot of noise, absolutely.
Yeah. Some of my bench supplies, like I have a couple HPs and a Tektronix. They have 3 connections: the positive, the negative, and there's one in the middle that's green that says ground. And
with a link.
Yep, you can remove the link if you want. And most of mine, I remove the link so that to avoid weird stuff when I'm testing stuff. So yeah, Ed's right. He's exactly right. Actually, I don't know, Bruce, you have any input to this? Bruce kind of knows a little bit about power supplies, I think.
Yeah, I've been listening to you guys, and I agree. The coax could be your ground, your mic cable, your audio cable, besides your DC power. So there's multiple returns,
and they're all carrying DC current.
And I also unlink my power supply too. My power supplies have a jumper between negative ground and positive, and I always unlink that when I'm doing some sensitive measurements. But there's times you want a common ground, and there's other times you want a floating ground. So, by the way, if you guys see in the background, a couple of years ago, I shot this video This is at Lake Berryessa, and this is the Lake Berryessa Dam, and this is the overflow, which they call the glory hole. And that was one of the rainy years we had when it was actually overflowing, and it was a really awesome sight to see that. That's about 30 feet in diameter, and it looks like it reminds me of a magnetic field, the way the water flows towards that hole. It also reminds me of a black hole because water rushes into it and it accelerates the closer it gets to that edge. So I don't know if you guys could see that video or not, but
yeah,
it's interesting and very good talk, Kevin. I'm glad we're going to have a swap meet. I'm glad you discussed the repeater, and good meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Evan?
That's the glory hole. Always kind of spooks me out. That's just so interesting. I was going to make one comment, Ed, because of what you said about the grounding. Everything just kind of winds up going everywhere. People ask me. I didn't have a good answer. I don't know. I don't know if I do now either. But when we're doing our audio thing and we're connecting our mixers and all our junk to our radios, we made a point to isolate them with transformers on the input and the output, even on our computers. You know, Jason's studio has like 47 transformers in it because we isolated everything. And because we found out some of these radios, man, the grounding on them is just different sometimes. So we just isolated and got matter of fact, right here, this microphone goes into my little video switcher, and the output, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's right. Oh, I kicked my wrong button. Right here. You can't really, there's a little bitty 1-to-1 transformer with about a 20 dB, 25 dB pad. And what that's for is it isolates the output of my radio. So it goes into the one side of this transformer, the other side, then it attenuates it, and it goes into my radio sitting over here. And no buzz. Sounds perfect. Yeah, no buzz. Before
hey, Kevin?
Kevin? Yes.
It's Tom, N6AGR.
Hey, Tom.
Right?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Yeah.
Can you see me?
I don't know, Jason. There, now I can see you.
Okay, this is my first Zoom for the radio club, so I'm just seeing if it's working right. Okay, appreciate the information. That's stuff I did not know. So
we talk about all kinds of stuff that we don't know about. I mean, yeah. Anyways, we try to bring something to the table and just pass it around. Hey, does anybody else have any other comments? Or Tom, did you have more?
No, that's it. Let's see if it's working.
All right, man. Nice to see you. Nice to hear you. Anybody else have a comment or a question or something they'd like to add before we start winding things up?
Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, you guys make the meeting, man, not me. You guys do it. Anybody else?
I do have one question.
Sure.
I tried to check into the net on Tuesday, and I couldn't get Echolink to come up. I'm in the southern end of the state for the time being, and I'm trying to do everything either online or that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I couldn't get in. It said something about it wasn't something about All-Star 5100 wasn't hooked up. It was 5145 or something. Did we have a problem there last week?
Yeah, so I can kind of answer that. Sometimes the VVR All-Star Pi, the Raspberry Pi that holds All-Star, gets disconnected from mine, and mine has the radio, right? So if those two aren't linked and you're just connecting Echolink to the VVR and it's not connected to mine, it's not going to go anywhere, right?
Yeah, couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why that note's there. If it says if 51010 is not connected,
yeah,
you're not going to get to the repeater. So
and remind us what yours is, Mike.
So it's the same thing. It's an all-star node, but my number 51010 has a MaxTrack 300 Motorola like radio connected to my Raspberry Pi.
If you're an Echo Link, how would he find it?
Oh, my Echo Link? Well, that's going to change in like 3 months. But in the meantime, it's just my call sign, WG5EK-L for link. So
that's what he was having trouble with.
One.
Yeah, that should get him in.
Yeah, because they couldn't get in the other link. So let me find a pencil or something here and write it down.
So, Mike, you think that's an image problem on this other Pi?
I think it needs to be reimaged because anybody is connected to you via All-Star, they're very choppy. They'll transmit for like 1 or 2 seconds and cut out and then back on it constantly. The Freestar guys were having that issue on that one, so I said, "Hey, just connect to mine," and the issue went away. So I think
that is so weird.
W5GL.
No, Whiskey Golf 5 Echo Kilo
5 EEK
-L. Yep.
Okay, I will write that down. I wrote it down on a napkin. That'll never get lost.
Well, once you do it in the app, you can make it a favorite, and then you should be able to find it.
So I'll look it up just like a VVR, but it's that call. Okay, will do. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'll be moving here in about 3 months, so we'll have to find a new one to connect to. Yes, I am, Jason. I'm moving.
Well, the club's buying a brand new Pi, the whole system, and we're going to re-image it and put it together, hook it to a new radio, and I don't know, Greg. Did you know we were putting it in your house, Greg? Did you know that?
I have. I am aware. Yes,
you're aware. Okay, so Greg's going to help us be our new. A local guru. We're still going to have a guru, but we'll have 2 of them, one out of state and one in Vacaville. Anyways, we'll get that fixed because you know what, guys, I think it's part of the problem is my internet connection out here. Like tonight, it's just not happening. It's not good. I can tell the way the gears work. What's that?
You made it mad.
I mean, I'm going to get going here, but see that picture? Hey, Brian, lean to your left a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, that video.
That picture is a picture. That's like saying picture. That picture is an image of the cans that Brian has on his repeater. So looking at it, the one on the left is the band pass. So if you follow that line up to the very top, that's the frequency that it's letting it go through. I don't remember if it's it's going to be it's the lower side. So that's going to be your receive frequency. So the repeater's transmit frequency. So it's passing it and off to the right and the left. You see how it sharply cuts off in both directions? It's sharply attenuating. Then you move over 5 megahertz to the right. You see that sharp dip going down there, or it's going way down the noise. I'm thinking that's around 90 dB, something like that. I can't tell from here, but it's notching out the receive frequency. It's killing it. So that, and then if you were to look at the other one on the receive side, it would be opposite. The notch would be on the left and the pass would be on the right. I think I got that. I don't know which one we're looking at, so I could have that backwards, but
that could be a whole nother meeting.
147.945, and that's before we changed it to the new frequency.
Yeah, and by the way, this is a 2 meter, so they're 600 kilohertz apart, not 5 megs. Yep. Oops.
Yep.
I'm getting tired.
That could be a whole nother meeting, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll do that some other day.
Yeah, I'm afraid if I'm ever going to get in there on the air, I'm going to have to set up W6OMF 2 meter rig to point that away. I'm down.
Aren't you up in Sacramento, Tom?
Not anymore. We have moved.
Oh,
where are you at now?
Well, somewhere in the high desert. We're trying to be non-specific.
Okay,
understood. Problems, so we're trying to hide our physical location from the person that set the fire at our old house. So,
okay,
understood.
Yeah, right, but I'm hoping I can find a hole in the hills or something I can get through to. You never know. You might be able to get lucky.
All right, guys, I'm going to jet. Okay. Is
Yeah,
that
I
all right?
think. Well, that concludes the meeting.
Yep. We're
Yep.
close to be. Hey, Frank's gone. The meeting's over, man. Is Frank gone?
I think Frank went to bed. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
Frank-
you everyone for coming out.
Yep.
Frank comes to the meetings with his pajamas on. I just want you to know that. He's ready to go to bed, man. So the dude's already sleeping. Just
Hey,
in case you
Mike changed his call sign. Hey, you changed your name on your screen. You're not Kathy anymore.
You're right. Except on Saturday nights.
Woo!
Whoa.
Damn.
All right, guys.
Well, good deal, guys. Have a good night, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, thank you,
Alrighty.
everybody. We had a great night.
Good night,
Talk to you later.
everybody.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Good night, John
Bye.
Boy.
Discord is fired up.